everything that we're talking about in today's episode can be found in Deadpool Classic Volume 8. This is actually a shorter collection because I think there's only 8 issues in it. And although it says number 1, it actually also says in a tinier print 57. So this is really issue 57 of the original run of Deadpool. But we have now yet another writer, Frank Teiri, or Teiri. Not sure how it's quite pronounced. But completely different cover style, different writer, going for the next 8. And so we see Sabretooth and a couple other people at the Weapon X project trying to track down certain mutants. And one finds Deadpool and Sabretooth asks Deadpool to help with this new Weapon X project, and in return they will fix his healing powers, because they have been dwindling a little bit, and Sabretooth is clearly much more powerful than he used to be. So he's noticing just by cutting off his hand, it's growing back just like spaghetti strings there, just quickly, like seconds after that, and it grows back even stronger. His face is cleared up. Looks like this is sort of too good to be true. Stuff grows back better and even bigger, so he's grabbing the axe and heading to the bathroom, if you know what I mean. But the catch is, of course, going to be that he has to do something horrible, and we don't know what other creepy, seedy things Weapon X, of course, has going on. In the following issue, I think we see a bit more. This is great. Deadpool, of course, now that he's working here, has been spending tons of their money to throw necessary parties and socialization, hiring prostitutes just to come over and party and drink. Has statues by Michelangelo coming in and changed to look like Deadpool. Just exorbitant funds being wasted. So, anyways, they go into the field for this mission, and they're supposed to be finding some rogue mutant, and stuff's burned down. And they find out that the person exploding, they start talking to him, and he sounds really nervous and scared. And Deadpool's trying to calm him down. And Kane, Weapon X, is being a friggin' jerk. So he calms this boiling fire thing all the way down to realize it's just a little kid, and he's gonna help him and bring him to Charles Xavier. And of course Kane just shoots this kid in the back of the head. And kind of just to give you an idea of just how horrible and evil this corporation is. And yeah, we're kind of left with that, and he goes back to the boss, and he's trapped in a certain way, and they find out he actually can't kill any of the bosses that work at this place. When they agree to set up for the program, they got a chip put in the back of their heads so that they can't do that. And now they're going to ask him for the ultimate test. He wants Deadpool to kill Copycat, because she has, and don't get me wrong, what we saw from the previous issues, she has gone a little bit nutty, a little bit hostile, a little bit over the top with her anger and aggression. So in the next issue, we see one of the people working at Weapon X, the guy that walked into Deadpool's room when he was having the party, and he walks into someone else's room who's having a much more messed up party, who's killing, the pizza guy that's delivered. And he goes to his closet, finds, I don't know if we see that right away, but this guy, is clearly evil. We see Vanessa's kind of losing some of her ability to change shape. They're coming out different. Yeah, he finds that in the closet, this guy had, a tiny little baby girl that he was gonna murder, just because we're seeing just how truly evil the people working at Weapon X are, and what the corporation is letting these evil people get away with is just kind of insane. So At some point, in order to save Copycat from other people that are sent out to kill her, because I think, yeah, Kane is sent out to kill her, so at some point she's transforming into animals, because that is a bit easier for her to pull off than just another person, but they're having a big face-off between Kane and Deadpool, and Sabretooth ends up killing Vanessa while he was trying to save her, and I believe she is for sure dead, or at least dead for as long as I've been reading up until. So that's kind of a super big bummer. And there's the picture of him in his Weapon X gear that we actually have on the back of the hardcover. But so he's still off to seek vengeance, kill everyone involved in this horrible program, shut it down, and making his way to the headquarters. His healing is starting to slow down because he ripped the chip out of the back of his head so that he can kill the bosses, but and of course it's slowing down and getting worse just when he needs it, just when he's going to be starting to fight. His face is starting to get melty. But he's able to, I think he's able to take them down, but not without taking himself down too. And they send his hand to Wolverine, and it's kind of a message that, Deadpool's done. He's dead. So what happens next is the next four issues. So the first four issues of that part were the Agent of Weapon X, and now it's Deadpool Funeral for a Freak. And what we open with is kind of a great issue that has zero dialogue. So remember, there was that one where he was made deaf and dumb, but there was still a bit of dialogue. There's a whole issue with no dialogue whatsoever, and it's all told through the emotions. We see tons of people showing up. Even Zoe and Monty have come to his funeral. All these people have made it out here, and it jumps between being even Bullseye, because they weren't like enemies. They just stole each other's jobs and stuff. But Deadpool's ghost is wandering around and doing a few funny things and pulling some pranks on Weasel and making Weasel push Blind Al into the grave because that's funny to him. But we're seeing really sad thoughts of Siren, and it's interesting because it really alternates between being funny and then being like kind of heartbreaking, and makes that guy punch Kidpool, and then he's kind of it leads to a battle because some of the villains are there too, some of the shitty Weapon X people, and he goes to heaven to get to, or I guess assumed heaven, or the afterlife of some kind, and he gets to meet Death, his old flame. But someone is coming along and sprinkling something on his grave, and we don't know whom, but it's bringing him back to life, and we'll have to find out what's going on in the next issue. Because why would I wait? I'm right here. He shows up and he's getting peed on by a dog, and he's homeless and has no memory. And his face looks like that, which is kind of a ripoff of Spawn when you think about it, but whatever. Throughout the issue, we're seeing all these cutaways to different people saving the day, all referring to themselves as Deadpool. So we see this sort of cheesy, like American Dad-esque kind of dude saying, "All in a day's work, citizen, the dynamic Deadpool." And he's doing that. Meanwhile, it's cutting back to Deadpool, not even knowing probably that he has powers yet, meeting up with some tough thugs. Meanwhile, there's an actual very mercenary-esque Deadpool that's popping one-liners and killing people and being like, yeah, call me Deadpool. Meanwhile, there's some famous, snobbish MTV kind of dude that's also named Deadpool. And he's got glasses that kind of look like that. And then there's just some guy that killed a bunch of people at a burger joint that just keeps saying, no pickles, no pickles, I'm Deadpool. So, finally he runs into Weasel, who we haven't seen since back when Joe Kelly was doing the issues. And he, of course, has to show up and let him know he is Deadpool. Dun, dun, dun! So, in the next issue of the Funeral for a Freak storyline, we see Weasel putting him in costume, seeing if he remembers anything. There's one of the homeless people still there that seems to just keep vomiting every 8 seconds, showing him things from his past. Eventually, he slowly begins to realize who he is, and he's watching TV, and he wants to go stop all the fake Deadpools, because, and I'm sure Weasel is behind him. So they go to the VTV Awards to kill the biggest, most annoying of the Deadpools. And oddly enough, all the rest of them have showed up there to stop him as well. And finally, somewhere in the mix of all of this, we see someone else shows... No. Yeah, so eventually, after a bunch of fighting, they somehow agree to work together to be a big team of Deadpools. And then, surprise! Teiri ends up showing up. Turns out the fact that there's 5 Deadpools, I think, was actually part of Teiri's plan. So he ends up saying, hey, the 5 of us together can destroy the... And he just kills off 2 of them right away. He brings him to a graveyard and shows that he actually had some kind of weird split personality of all of his lives blending in together, and some weird convoluted bullshot from, if you remember how confusing the last 2 issues of the Joe Kelly run was. Long story short, it resets something that was put in place, which was the idea that Deadpool wasn't actually Wade Wilson, and that Teiri was Wade Wilson and Deadpool had killed him. But it turns out that that was just another fake one of Deadpool's memories, and they take out Teiri, and he's basically kind of zombified with no personalities left whatsoever. One of the homeless people has him as her boy toy, and it's really kind of creepy seeing him dressed like that. But that's kind of how it ends, on sort of a Deadpool is back to being Deadpool, and his past is Wade Wilson. He really is Wade Wilson, and there's sort of a longing to see death, but he wonders... There was one plot line left undone that seemed cosmic and strange, but and it looks like dun dun dun, it's Thanos, but we never actually hear what the heck that's about at all. So that might be in some separate volume. I'm not sure. I'll have to look that up at a later time. So, yeah, those 8 issues were all by Frank Teiri. And if you don't like reading big, heavy books, you can get those 8 issues in trade paperback. It's volume 8. I give this pretty good. It's pretty good, and this is where I almost kind of want to picture Deadpool of the original run ends, because they change a lot of things after this issue. But you'll find out more about that next time. Thank you for watching, and as always, stay cuddly.